You're listening to the Grind Line Podcast.
What's up, and welcome to another episode of the Grind Line Podcast. You're listening to episode 297. I am your host, Greg. I am here tonight with Tyler. We were off for a week. Our schedule's there's a couple months where our schedules really don't line up very well, and then we're off and we try to do something and it doesn't work, but we are back. We come back after a Detroit Red Wings win, so we have that to talk about. We have some players to break down. We have some maybe some stuff about coaching, and what we'll cover off the top, a gift I received from Fanatics. But how you doing tonight, Tyler?
I'm doing great. For some reason, my mute button wouldn't come off. But anyways, can't complain too much. The Detroit Lions are playing really good football right now.
Amazing football.
Can't say the same for Michigan, or if you're a Michigan State fan, same thing. But the Wings coming off a win against Buffalo Sabres, which I guess we're going to talk about here in a minute. And then also, not to mention, we have coaches now in NHL 25.
And they look awful.
Well, yeah, okay, they do, but not bad for just putting them in.
Please go look at Patrick Waugh, and why he is orange and looks slightly Asian makes no sense.
Derek Lalonde looks pretty good, though. Other than the
Derek
fact that
Lalonde looks like
bald.
They put a creepy baby head on an adult body.
Like I said, I'm glad that they put it in. It's not a bad thing that they put it in. I guess they probably could have put it in at launch. Not sure why they didn't do that, but thank you guys for the copies of NHL 25.
Yeah, shout out to our friends at EA who gave us copies to do a review on, which we'll talk about on one of the down episodes, not this week, maybe next week. And
Sure.
For a couple giveaway copies for a couple of our listeners who won. So congratulations to those guys. And we love the guys at EA, and they always hook us up. But we will be talking about NHL 24. Maybe I'll get Gio Lego Rocks to come on and talk about NHL 24 here pretty soon. 25, sorry. I'm a year behind. But what I want to talk about first is this. So Fanatics, for those of you on YouTube, Fanatics sent me a nice box. They sent me a box. Inside the box is, hold on, I'm going to go away from my microphone for a second, this beautiful Detroit Red Wings Fanatics jersey. And I looked it up and down. So what I wanted to do was kind of look at it and go, oh, I'll compare it to one of the Adidas jerseys. And it's strikingly similar. The NHL shield is not as shiny. It's got more of a rainbow kind of tint to the white part of it, so it shines a little bit. They replaced the inside band. It now says Fanatics Premium with the Fanatics logo. They got a new tag. There is, again, the Fanatics logo on the back. But everything else, the logo is embossed. It's nice and embossed, and it's a thick logo like it has been for Adidas. It's still got the mesh, armpit parts on it. The only thing I noticed is that when I held it up to the light, it seems to be a little thinner. And I don't know if if it's just how I was holding it, but I held this one up to the light, and I held the Adidas one up to the light, and it looked like I could see through this one a little bit more. Now, this one is the mid-range one. It's not the on-ice pro version. This is the $260 one you would get at the team shop, or you could get through Vintage Detroit. It is blank, so there's no numbers or anything on it. But as far as the logo goes and the quality of the actual jersey itself, I didn't find any rips. Nothing was off center. All the stitching was good. The fight strap's in there the way it's supposed to be. So based on just being a plain jersey alone, I'd say that I'm not really worried about them. I guess for the normal level jersey that most people buy, which is that mid-level jersey, it's nice. It's a nice jersey, and I'm going to get a number put on it, and maybe we'll do a giveaway a little later this season.
Yeah, I did when I was in Michigan for the home opener. I did take a trip down to Vintage Detroit. Shout out Lynn. Shout out all the people down there. Got a Vintage Detroit T-shirt, just the branding, so I get to wear that around here. It looks pretty good. But one thing, I did get to see the new Fanatics jerseys, that price point, and very similar to the Adidas one. The only thing that you probably didn't notice, but I noticed at the same time, no dimples on the shoulders anymore. Those are gone.
Yeah, there's also a little bit of a difference in the fabric on the collar, but yeah, I like the dimple, like the golf ball shoulders. I liked those. Yeah, you are correct. The golf ball shoulders are gone, but
I'm kind
quality
of,
wise, they seem almost identical.
and guess what? They're made by the same company.
They are. They're made in the same
Not same
factory.
company, but the
Yeah,
same manufacturer is
yeah.
making those jerseys that was making the Adidas ones. The interesting part will be when they put the twist on it in a couple of years. I don't foresee
It
them being a
actually might
pro.
be next season.
It's 2 years from now, I think. But either way, I don't foresee there being an issue with them going forward because that fabric, that warehouse in Canada is making most of them, especially the made in Canada ones. And not only that, but they had the problems with Major League Baseball already. And I think they've started to iron that out a little bit. So I wonder if Fanatics is just like, okay, we learned from what happened in Major League Baseball. Let's not make the same mistake with the National Hockey League. Because Fanatics makes a lot of the Nike stuff for the NFL. And that stuff is, it's expensive, sure, because it's Nike, but it's the quality is phenomenal. So I don't know. I mean, everyone has their gripes with Fanatics. We'll endorse the jersey because it's a good product. I wouldn't tell you if it wasn't a good product if it wasn't. So
Yeah, I mean,
um,
we've seen horrible mistake after horrible mistake on like t-shirts and hats and stuff like
yeah,
that. I feel like you have no wiggle room to screw up jerseys because like that's your moneymaker right there, and it seems like they've done it right. So hats off to Fanatics on that.
also, if you're one of those people that likes like the what the players wear, like that Fanatics pro stuff, all that stuff is phenomenal too. The hats are
Yeah.
phenomenal. Brandon got me a pair of the sweatpants from Traverse City a couple years ago. Those are phenomenal. I have a jacket that's phenomenal, and all of that is like the on ice or they call it Fanatics Pro stuff. All that
Player
stuff.
issued basically.
Exactly. So
Yeah. And then the
yeah,
other thing Fanatics announced is they are partnering with Lululemon to put out pants that I won't be able to afford. So if you like $100 and something sweatpants, they look nice. I'll give them that. They look nice. And they did a really good marketing campaign with players like Dylan Larkin and his wife were like in a picture, like a promotional image, like wearing the stuff. And it looks really good. And I know Lululemon is comfortable and I know people love it. It's
phenomenal.
just, it's so expensive that I can't justify buying it because again, it's a pair of sweatpants that what people wear them to the gym.
The only justification I have, because I do wear some of their stuff to the gym, I do have a couple pairs of shorts, a couple pairs of joggers, all that. If you buy that stuff, it lasts. You buy a couple pairs of Nike shorts,
Yeah.
they're gone in like
Yeah.
if you wash them in hot water, which I don't advocate for that, but if you do, that stuff's gonna shrink. All the Nike stuff does. And within, 4 or 5 washes, the Nike logo's coming off and all that stuff. Lululemon, that doesn't happen to. That's the
Yeah, a
only
lot
thing
of
I
you
advocate
pay for
for.
what you get, right? That's what it
Exactly.
is. Yeah. So it's a cool collab. Like I said, the imaging on it's really nice. It's going to be comfortable. It's just really expensive. And I think they mentioned that it's a multi-year partnership. So the rest of the teams, like they'll have all 32 teams covered by next season in Lululemon stuff. So maybe they'll send
Good.
us some Lululemon stuff, and then I can review that on the podcast too, and not have to pay $120 for a pair of pants. But we're gonna move on to some game stuff. So I don't want to talk about the losses. The losses were the same kinds of losses that we have seen over and over again. Dylan Larkin called out the offense, calling them passengers in one of the games. Newsy, for some reason, was asked like about Larkin, and he's like, I think Larkin has more to give. And then Larkin went out in this Buffalo Sabres game and he scored some goals. So Dylan Larkin, I believe, had both the goals in that game. He was your best player on the ice by a mile, along with Mo Sider, Lucas Raymond, for some reason, Jeff Petrie, Simon Edvinson, and for some reason, Ben Sherratt. So that game, to me, and I don't like saying this because we said it before, like when we won after losing 3 in a row, like it felt like a bounce back game. They came in and they played hockey and they looked good. They had 22 scoring chances for and 24 against, so they gave up 2 more scoring chances, but they had 11 high danger chances at 5-on-5, and the Sabres only had 6 high danger chances at 5-on-5. You still didn't control the puck at 5-on-5, 44% Corsi for percentage, so they controlled the puck more than you, but you limited those high danger chances, and the players we've been screaming to step up, like we can say like Jeff Petrie and Ben Sherratt, one of them at a time is probably a second pairing defenseman, but both of them together, that is not a second pair. You could put Ben Sherratt with someone better than him and make a good second pair. You could put Jeff Petrie with someone better than him and make a complete second pair. Putting them together is not, but they overperformed. They held Buffalo to 1 goal. Buffalo had their chances. The Red Wings had a lot of good pressure in that game, and they came out with a win. And I don't want to say it's a bounce back, though, because we could go out and lay an egg tomorrow and we're right back in the same position.
It's Fuck Chicago Wednesday tomorrow. So get ready for that.
FCW, is that what we have?
Exactly. And as Ryan's tweet would always say, the Blackhawks suck. You know what? I don't know. I mean, the win against Buffalo feels like a game where they can kind of hang some kind of stuff they can hang their hat on a little bit. 2 for 4 in the power play. They stayed out of the box. I mean, yeah, they did have 2 penalties, but they did kill those off. Their penalty kill has been pretty atrocious in my opinion from what I've seen. And again, one of those things and that I've continued to see and watching the games, watching the highlights, they get outshot in every fucking game. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, this game they were outshot on a whole 32-23.
Yep.
And again, so at least we got over 20 shots. Congratulations, but you can't let team after team lay 30 plus shots on you. It's again not sustainable. Because at that point, even though they're not all high danger chances, they're still chances and your goalie has to stop them. So Cam Talbot has to go out and play out of his mind and stop shots 31 of 32 to win you the game. And you're getting 23 on the opposing goalie and you only score 2. So offense, and they're both Dylan Larkin. So offense is something we had talked about last time we recorded, and then they came out and had a really good offensive outing right after we posted. So maybe we need to talk about it again and they'll go out and score 6 goals tomorrow. But it is something that I think we're going to talk about in segment 2, that it just seems like we have all the offensive potential in the world, but it seems like there may be and I'm going to say maybe, and I know there is, coaching is holding the offense back. That is one thing that we know is happening because of the coaching style. And we'll talk about individual players after the break. But as a whole, when you preach defense first, you're going to stifle that offensive production. And you added offensive guys in the offseason, and someone like a Tarasenko, re-signing Kane, bringing in Berggren, who has offensive ability, but there's no breakout. It's dump in, change. We talked about it. It's not sustainable. And especially when you're playing defense first and you're letting 30 plus shots every game.
And then you trade one of your defensemen that can actually outlet the puck away.
Yeah, Oli Mata sent off to the Utah Hockey Club for a third, which I don't mind. Expiring contract for a third round pick for a third pairing defenseman, which is, it'll be maybe a late third round pick, but you had to make room if you wanted Johansson to get more games, if you wanted Casper to stay on the roster because Mott was activated. I think that is something that was the easiest move you could make, was moving someone like Oli Mata, and I don't have a problem with the return, and it gets rid of some of the defensive logjam.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with it. The only thing is, like we talked about, they already struggle at outletting the puck, and you take one of your better defensemen that can outlet the puck off this roster, and now what's it going to look like going forward? I don't know. I guess the silver lining is Albert Johansson ready to take that step and be in the lineup every single night and contribute at that level as well.
And he's had good games and he's had shaky games, but overall, I'd say that Albert Johansson's been a net positive for the team. He's a good third pair defenseman right now. Do they maybe try to get him someone to help him out a little bit now that Oli Mata is gone? I mean, you're going to have to play Gustafsson more. You're going to play Johansson more, and that's going to be probably playing Gustafsson more from what we've seen so far is probably going to be more to your detriment. Oli Mata played better games so far this season than Gustafsson, and of course Utah is going to want the better player, and he doesn't have term, but I think that it alleviates some problems. It still doesn't fix, like we said, the second pair situation, but it wasn't supposed to. It wasn't supposed to fix that situation, and I think it's still fixable. We're seeing everyday headlines where teams around the league are looking to make trades either because they're injured or they're not doing as well as they thought they were going to be doing, and they're looking to move players around early. So there could be moves that happen before the trade deadline relatively soon here in order to fix that situation. And I think that if we go on another 3-game losing streak, there are going to be some changes that are going to have to be made, because I think Yzerman, this is the year where Yzerman needs to be more reactive than to sit back and wait.
Yeah, no doubt. 100% on that. I was talking to a close friend of mine who I talk about the whole NHL with. He is a Bruins fan, but he's an NHL fan. He's a hockey fan. And he goes, "What do you think of your coaching situation?" And I said, word for word, I said, if Detroit goes into a situation where they lose 5 out of 6 or 6 out of 7, or maybe even 4 in a row, Derek Lalonde might be falling on the axe. Do I agree with it 100%? Maybe not. But it's year 3, and coaches in this day and age in the National Hockey League don't get much of a lifeline. You're kind of, you're hired to be fired in one way or another. And do I agree with it 100%? No, but Derek Lalonde, this is year 3, man. And this is a mediocre hockey team right now. Does that mean that they're going to be mediocre at the end of the year? No. I mean, teams do get better. But at one point or another, Steve Yzerman's going to have to make a major change if things don't get better. Obviously, the Buffalo win is good. Let's see if they can, keep the momentum going and play Chicago tomorrow and hopefully beat a bad Chicago team. Let's call it what it is. That is not a good hockey team.
Yeah, so what we're going to do, we'll take a quick first break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about more about coaching, changes that could maybe be made there, and how the coaching style is affecting a couple of players. So we'll be right back in just a second. We're going to take a quick break for a word from our sponsors. The quest for the Stanley Cup starts now. The puck's dropping on the 2024-25 season. Get in on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. Right now, the Red Wings are a long shot to make the Stanley Cup, but you can put a bet in anyways, and if they turn things around, you might make a bit of cash. And if you are new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. This episode of the Grindline Podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp. Is there a skill you've been meaning to learn? Something you see someone else doing and you're saying, man, I think I'd be really good at that, or that would be a ton of fun. Kids are always learning and growing, but as adults, sometimes we lose that curiosity. Therapy can help you reconnect with your sense of wonder, because your back-to-school era can come at any age. Therapy has a stigma of just being for people that are experiencing trauma in their lives, but it can be for anyone and can help with things like coping skills and setting healthy boundaries to make you a better person. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. You don't like the one you're matched with? You can switch at any time for no additional charge. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/THPN today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/THPN. All right, segment 2, and I kind of really want to let's continue the coaching conversation. So I had put up a poll on Twitter. Just to let everyone know, I am never going to call it X. It will always be Twitter to me. It's just not something I'm going to do. So I put up a poll, and the poll said, how many games does the Red Wings coaching staff have to figure this out before changes are made? And this poll was set up on October 31st, over 1,000 votes. 26.6% said none. They were fed up at that point on October 31st. And then we went out and won a game. 25.9% said 3, 25% said 5, 22.5% said 7. Which means, that to me, it's totally almost even split across the board. But I think sentiment overall is at that point, people after the 3-game losing streak were just fed up with coaching. Same thing, same answers from Newsy every time. Well, if you look at the stats, we played a good game and we outchanced them and there weren't high danger chances and our defense wasn't letting odd man rushes, but we still lost and we'll get them next time. And it's a lot of that over and over. But my concern was more special teams. Like, at what point do you have to say you get rid of Bob Bugner because the defense is not performing correctly? At what point do you get rid of Alex Tanguay because the power play is not kicking off?
Power play sucks.
But Tanguay, after that poll, he kind of redeemed himself a little bit. They went out and they scored like 2 goals on the power play. And I think that at some point, though, if you again go on if you win 1, lose 3, win 1, lose 3, that's not sustainable. That is not good hockey. That's not winning coaching. And like I said, I think Yzerman needs to be, this is the season where you need to be a little more reactive. Newsy is on the last year of his contract. Like, this is it. He could be renewed at the end of the season. I don't think that Yzerman, if it's 5 more games and you win 1 and you lose 4, Yzerman shouldn't have a problem letting go of him early. I think that Yzerman shouldn't have a problem if power play continues to fall flat, if penalty kill falls flat, getting rid of the special teams coaches first, getting rid of the defensive coach first. And if for anything but like a wake the fuck up firing is what I like to call it, where maybe it's not all that person's fault, but again, you said you're hired to get fired in this league. And sometimes what the guys in the locker room need is a kick in the ass to say, wait a minute, this is kind of serious and we're going to cost people their jobs if we don't step it up and perform the way we're supposed to perform. So I think that's a situation you could find yourself in even this early in the season. And I know people like to say, well, they're not going to fire anyone before New Year. They're not going to fire anyone before Christmas. But at some point, I think you have to. And for Yzerman, maybe just to take the heat off of yourself.
Yeah, I'm surprised there hasn't been a coach fired just yet in the NHL. It's looming. It's looming, I'm telling you. Because I feel like last year at this point, we had a couple of coaches already fired. Maybe not this early. Maybe it was a couple weeks from now, but you get the point. Not saying that Lalonde needs to be fired. That's not really what I'm saying, and I'm not saying he is the problem. Let's make this clear. But something needs to change. Something needs to change. Whether it's
like
Bob
the scheme, like the coaching.
Okay, well then that's on coaching.
Yeah,
that's on coaching. If that's the case, then that's on coaching, and then you need to have the conversation: is Derek Lalonde our guy? If he is, then maybe get rid of some of his assistants and give him a chance to, you hire your assistants and see if that can be better going forward. Or do you say, you know what, I'm Steve Yzerman. If I don't start making changes on this team, people are going to start calling for my head. I need to start making changes. And in that case, that's when you're Steve Yzerman. You're like, okay, I need to press this button. It's not the panic button. It's just a button I need to press to see if I can get my team going. Who do you hire, though? That's my thing.
That is a real good question because I have no idea. For the people calling for Joel Quenneville, that's a big no from me.
It's not a no from Steve Yzerman, I don't think, though.
I think it would be. I think him knowing, I don't think you get rid of something that's being attacked to bring in something else that's going to be attacked.
Patrick Kane had him in Chicago.
That's fine. That's not a situation I would want to put that locker room in or to get that kind of media attention at this point. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with someone like Jay Woodcroft.
Okay, that's a name,
right? Like, he's got a winning record. He coached the Edmonton Oilers and did okay. And I mean, I just think as a temporary guy that you could bring in and make an interim coach decision or whatever until you can vet things out. I just don't. To me, I would start with the special teams coaches and tell Newsy, hey, maybe your defense first system is not working.
But the thing is, right? You need, yes, you need to have a good defense, but you also need to be able to put the puck in the back of the net. Similar to what they did last year.
You have to allow the offense to go do their jobs to put the puck in the back of the net. That's why you look at someone like Patrick Kane right now, who's got like 4 points on the season at 5-on-5. I mean, that's like, you're not getting him enough 5-on-5 pressure. You're not getting, again, it's the dump in and quick change and get off the ice and switch guys. And by that time, it's going back down to your end. You're not sustaining enough pressure in the offensive zone for someone like Patrick Kane to take advantage of that. for someone like Vladimir Tarasenko to take advantage of that. It's not happening. And I think when you look at it and you preach this defensive first system with defensive players that are not built for it, it's not going to work because it's going to pull back your offense. But at the same time, because your defensive roster is not built for it, it's going to open you up to so much of an attack against that it's just going to look really bad.
At what point does it start to come to Steve Yzerman?
Okay, at what point does it come to the pro scouting staff?
It could be that too.
Because those are the guys that are out there going, look, Steve, this is the guy you should pick up.
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying it's Steve Yzerman's fault. I think there's a blame pie, and I would say some of it falls on the players. The majority of it falls on the coaching staff, because the coaching staff, like, take a zoom out for a second, right? I'm a Michigan fan. You guys all know that. They got a new coach. They're a poorly coached football team. The Red Wings are a poorly coached hockey team right now. They don't do a lot of things right. They take a lot of penalties. They turn the puck over a lot. They can't
start super slow.
They start super slow. That is on coaching. That is not on the players. That is on the coach to get the players to get motivated to play a game. You notice these afternoon games are slow to start, man. A night in New York, you're down 3-0 before you can even do anything. The same thing at the home game against the Rangers at home. I know the Rangers are a good team, but come on, man. They're better than the way that they're playing. This team is a lot more skilled and should have a little bit more success than they have. I'm not saying
they showed it last season.
Exactly, but I'm not saying they're world beaters. I'm not saying that they're going to win the Stanley Cup or anything like that, but they should be a playoff team. At very least, they should be a playoff team. And I'll tell you one thing right now. A lot of this falls on the pro scouting, yes. Steve Yzerman, too, because think about it. I'm not saying you had to bring Gostisbehere back, but you should have brought someone in to replace Gostisbehere that wasn't Gustafsson, because that's not apples to apples. It's just not. Gostisbehere is way up here when it comes to offense, and Gustafsson is like down here. Okay. And I'm not saying it had to be Gostisbehere. I'm not saying you had to go spend money on Brady Shea or anything like that. But there were guys out there, and they didn't want to do it. They didn't do the Pesci thing. They didn't sniff around the Broberg thing. The Broberg thing, I mean, I know he's hurt right now. I think he's out 4 to 6 weeks right now. But besides that, man, Broberg has, outside of Parayko, is maybe the best defenseman on the St. Louis Blues right now.
And this was supposed to be the off season where you're like, yes, this is the off season where we improve the team. And then you go out and look and you're like, I mean, we just filled it in with guys that are kind of the same. Now, the Tarasenko signing I like. It's a big body offensive guy you could put up front. You were hoping like someone like Berggren, who we'll talk about in a minute, would come in and replace what Sprong does. You're getting a full year of Simon Edvinsson. You're bringing back Patrick Kane. The team is there to, like you said, be better than what they have shown. What if you bring in Bruce Boudreau? I just think that if you're getting, like, again, I would probably start with special teams coaching, but I would say that Newsy right now, out of coaching in general, probably has the hottest seat in the NHL with how the team has performed. Even how they've performed, though. I mean, they have 11 points in the division. The Sens have 12. The Bruins have 13. The Maple Leafs have 14. You're only 3 points out of second place right now. The Florida Panthers have 19 points. So for a while, I mean, the division was pretty much from second place down was tied. And right now the Red Wings, like I said, if they've got 11 points. They've got 2 less games played than the Bruins, and the Maple Leafs 1 less game than the Lightning. So they're still in it, but they could be right up there. They could be second place right now if they didn't drop those games where they came out absolutely flat.
You know who's a couple names on the hot seat right now, in my opinion? Jared Bednar and Andrew Burnett in Nashville. Nashville went out and spent the most money in the offseason, and that team sucks. That team
they
sucks.
thought they thought if you collected players like Infinity Stones that you would just win 100 more games, and they are not.
And again, I'm not saying Jared Bednar is the problem in Colorado. They've had some injuries and all that stuff, but I start to wonder if they look at like the Quenneville thing and say, okay, we have a more veteran kind of team. Do we bring in a guy like that? But regardless of the situation, I think the Red Wings, I know you kind of mentioned the whole special teams coach and all that. I think they'll just do it all at once. They'll just blow it all out at once. Honestly, they'll make Newsy fall on the sword, and they'll get rid of his staff at the same time, and they'll just bring in new people.
Yeah, I could see it happening. I mean,
I
maybe
think it's coming
just
sooner
better
rather
to clear
than
house.
later. If you go out and you get blown out by Chicago tomorrow in Chicago, there's going to be major changes.
Do you think, would you put money on it, regardless of what happens tomorrow, it happening before Christmas?
Yes. Yep.
If they continue to lose, or just in general?
If they continue to lose, I mean, they get in the first place, or not first place, but if they get into that first or that second wild card spot, he's not going anywhere. And even if they're like right on the bubble, they're not going to fire him. But I think, does he have a contract for next year?
No, I'd say he's this is the last part of his contract right now, is this season.
See, interesting. Usually you feel like at this point in time, if he's your guy, you would have him signed at this point. Same with Montgomery and Boston. So the interesting part to me is going to be the beginning of this month, because it's not easy. You got the rain. Sorry, you don't get the Rangers. You have Chicago tomorrow, Toronto on Friday, and then back to back with the Rangers. Then a couple days off, Pittsburgh, Anaheim, LA, San Jose. I could see if they have some struggles on that Western trip when he comes back for that Islanders game on the 21st.
Yeah, I could see it too.
The night, is that the night? No, Thanksgiving's later this year. That's
Thanksgiving's the 28th.
Game. So anyways, yeah, I could see it that. I don't know. Again, do I think it's his fault? No, but at this point in time in the NHL, in this day and age, the head coach falls on the sword a lot of the times. So
So with that, we're going to take another quick break for a couple words from our sponsors. We'll be back. We'll talk a little bit about Jonatan Berggren and where the Red Wings are at in the wild card standings right now. So just give us 1 second. We'll be right back. From the chill of the arena to skates on ice and people hitting the boards, an NHL game is a sports experience like none other. And when you are looking for tickets, your pick should be Game Time. Game Time is the only app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. And see the great seats with Game Time picks and see the view from your seat on your phone before you buy your tickets. All-in pricing shows you your total cost up front, and you can buy tickets in seconds with just a couple taps. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less somewhere else, Game Time will credit you 110% off the difference. With event cancellation policies that automatically refund your tickets and 24-hour returns guaranteed, you are protected with the Game Time app. And starting now until December 2nd, Game Time is giving us an exclusive deal on Winter Classic tickets. You can get 10% on bleacher seats and 20 to 25% on home plate area tickets. So don't miss out on one of the biggest sporting events this year at Wrigley Field. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. We love Black Friday. It's that time of year where you get deals on things you normally would never think about getting deals on, except with Raycon. Because with Raycon, you get an amazing deal on premium audio every day of the year. But that doesn't mean they're not having any sales on Black Friday. Far from it. They're actually doubling down on amazing value by offering our viewers up to 30% off site-wide. A Black Friday deal you'll appreciate every day? Raycon's everyday earbuds, especially if you haven't checked out their latest model, which includes plenty of new features that make them even more of a must-have for any audio lover. Now featuring a 32-hour battery life and multi-point connectivity that lets you pair with 2 devices at one time. Raycon's everyday earbuds also come with active noise cancellation. It's a feature that's a must-have for us on long flights, but one that can be difficult to find at an accessible price point until now. Because that's another thing. Although Raycon's quality rivals some of the biggest names in premium audio, Raycons start at just half the price as the other guys, so they're already an incredible deal even before you factor in their Black Friday offer up to 30% off site-wide. Raycon's everyday earbuds are also available in a variety of vibrant colors, so you don't have to have just the standard issue white or black earbuds sticking out of your ears. Now's the perfect time to scoop them up if you haven't already, and don't worry, if you're not as impressed as I am, Raycon offers a 30-day happiness guarantee, so you can't really lose. It's time to save big for Black Friday. Go to buyraycon.com/THPN today to get up to 30% off site-wide. That's right, you'll get up to 30% off everything on Raycon's website when you go to buyraycon.com/THPN. And we're back. And to follow up on what we kind of left off with before break is the wild card standing. So I just want to kind of cover where we're at with that. And this is kind of like the measurement before Thanksgiving is whether you're in a playoff position or not. There's like a good chance if you're in a playoff position around Thanksgiving that you will be in the playoff position toward the end of the season. Right now, the Detroit Red Wings with 11 points are 2 points out of the second wild card spot. Boston has that right now. Boston has played, like I said, 2 more games. They have 13 points, 6 wins, 6 losses. The Washington Capitals are in the first wild card spot with 16 points. But if you look at the division, the Maple Leafs have 14 points. The Lightning have 14 points. So if you win 2 games and the Lightning and Maple Leafs lose 2 games, you're right up in second place underneath the Florida Panthers, and you'll have games in hand. So our division is not as strong as maybe we had thought it was going to be at the beginning. Boston has been not good this season either so far. So they might be taking the fall off we expected them to take last season. They might be doing it this season. And then some people will be really happy that they were right. But that's where the standings are as we speak right now. And we have a shot to go up 2 points to 13 and take that second wild card spot tomorrow if we beat the Chicago Blackhawks. So that's a big need. But a player that I wanted to talk about because Mott came back, which was part of the reason for the Ole Mata trade. But during practice, it looked like Jonatan Berggren was going to be scratched. Now, Mott did not play. He was still not cleared to actually play. He came back but wasn't cleared. And people started going off on Jonatan Berggren. And I started looking at the back end, a couple numbers for him. And I don't think it is fair to really rag on Berggren as people are. If you look at 5v5 numbers, and there's a couple numbers that I'm going to go over for him, I am going to look at individual expected goals. Now, this is how many goals that the individual is expected to score on their own, just by generating offense and scoring goals. Jonatan Berggren is number 1 on the team in individual expected goals with 1.85. Number 1. Second's JT Compher. Third is Lucas Raymond. If you take another number that I like to look at, which is PDO, Jonatan Berggren's PDO currently sits at a 0.984. So what that would be considered as a 98, which means he's unlucky. For those that don't know what PDO is, it's the sum of a shooting percentage and save percentage. A PDO can be used for a player with a PDO over, like to say their PDO is 1/102. They're probably not as good as they look. And if a player is below, say, 99, 98, they're likely better than they appear on the ice, which is what expected goals, his individual expected goals is showing. So Berggren is doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's generating chances. It's not going in because it looks like he's unlucky. And I know people are going to have the same conversation. Well, you said that same thing about Filip Zadina. I think Berggren has a little bit more record to say there's something there. And there's less of an expectation on Berggren to be what we expected Filip Zadina to be. I think we expected Filip Zadina to come in and eventually be that 30-40 goal scorer and just knock the lights out of the league. We're expecting Berggren to maybe be a 20 goal scorer, for a bottom 6, 20 goal scorer that has really good offense and improves his defense. And I don't think that he is the guy I would scratch in favor of someone like Mott. I'd sooner scratch a Joe Veleno. I'd sooner scratch a Christian Fischer just to keep Berggren in to see if he starts to pop off, because the stats are there. You can, with the eye test, you can see that he's going. It's just, it's not going in. So that's my kind of my spiel on Jonatan Berggren. I think that he keeps going, he'll get that stuff will start going in for him, but he's not as bad as his over stats show, his goals and assists.
Yeah, I agree. Then if you're one of those people that likes analytics and likes the eye test or likes the eye test, if you meet in the middle, the analytics will tell you exactly what the eye test is telling you, that Jonatan Berggren is getting a lot of chances. He's just extremely unlucky. And that's what I've seen from him as well. He's again, he's not your type, bless you, Toys.
Thank you.
He's not your type of guy that's going to score 45 goals. He's just not that guy. But if he can put you in, have 15 goals and, another 15 assists or 25 assists or whatever, I mean, that's huge off the third or fourth line. So I don't see why you'd take him out of the lineup. I would take Veleno out of the lineup before I would take Berggren out of the lineup. But I guess you're kind of splitting hairs because Mott's going to come back in and he'll be inserted once he is coming back in, I would imagine.
Yeah, I just think that there are people that were being really hard on him. And a couple of the analyst accounts also came out and said, hey, Berggren's just kind of having a weird time right now. He's like unlucky currently. I mean, I could maybe say the same thing about Lucas Raymond if he wasn't on a point per game pace right now. He's just not scoring as much as he should be, but he's on a point per game pace. It's just someone called it it's the unlucky Swedes, and that we should just pick up that other unlucky Swede Elias Pettersson right now and just bring him in because the Swedes aren't doing very much currently. But I think that
terrible.
Yeah, he's not been good at all. It's been real bad. But I think it'll turn around. There's plenty of hockey left. Next week we will be talking to Daniela Bruce to get her thoughts on the season so far and what she thinks the Red Wings need to do going forward in order to kind of not right the ship, but get a strong kind of start pushing a little bit more. Get a strong footing. But I want to get your final thoughts before we sign off tonight, Tyler. So what do you got?
Yeah, they got to just string some wins together, man. I know they've gotten points. I know they have 11 points in 11 games, 5 wins, 5 losses, 1 overtime loss. But it just seems like you can't string any positivity together. It seems like it's 1 step forward and 3 steps back, or 1 step forward and 2 steps back. You need to start trending in the right direction. You need to start the upward trajectory. And if they can't do that, you're going to have a coach firing. And then that's going to light a fire under everybody's ass. Because this isn't college athletics where you can just give up and use your red shirt. This is the National Hockey League, and you have to compete because you get paid to do this. This is your job. So I need to see some more. I don't want to ever question the effort. I think the effort has been good all season long for the most part. The Lone hasn't lost the team or anything like that. You need to start seeing some more results, or there's going to be some major changes. You can follow me on Twitter at SealDog91.
I would push back on the effort comment a little bit early on in the season. There were some real flat games, and even some of the teammates called out
Rangers game.
They called out the other guys in the room and said we need to step it up overall. We need to be a lot better than we have been. And it showed in the Buffalo game that maybe if they can continue doing that, they will win more games. If they can mitigate more shots, the better it will be. But I think that we need to, like you said, the next 3 games I think are going to be real key. And if you don't go out and just trounce Chicago tomorrow, there's going to be a lot more questions than we're asking tonight. But you can follow me on line at Bringing the Wing. Follow the Grindline Podcast online at Grindline Pod. Give a shout out to Vintage Detroit, which is the only place you should get your Detroit jerseys from and worked on. We do have an exclusive t-shirt collection with them, with more designs coming here real soon. I'd like to thank the Hockey Podcast Network for hosting us and spreading us around. And we would love it if you could go check us out on YouTube, sub to our channel, and turn on notifications. You'll get notified every time an episode goes live, and you'll be able to keep up with everything. We also have a Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/grindline podcast, super cheap options there. It just helps keep the show going, keep the lights on, and keep us running. But that's going to do it for us tonight. So for Tyler, I am Greg. You stay classy, Hockey Town.